You are now listening to Project X Xcast podcast series.
Hey everyone, and welcome again to Project X podcast series, the Xcast. Today our podcast is going to look at prison and the journey through the criminal justice system. We have a very special guest, Stephen Graham, joining us today. Stephen is an author, a youth and family mentor, an academic and a businessman. Stephen's journey to success is a unique and valuable one, as he uses his personal experience of incarceration, his knowledge of adverse childhood experiences, and the role trauma plays in childhood to educate, shape, and transform the lives of the young people today. So Stephen, welcome and thank you for joining us today and allowing us to listen and learn from your experiences.
Thank you for having me.
And today we also have two young co-hosts.
Nathan.
Miles Marshall. What was life like for you growing up, and where did you live?
When I was young, I lived in South Kibben Estate, on the original South Kibben Estate when we had the podium back in those days. South Kibben was amazing those days. In fact, I lived there most of my life until I left before I was incarcerated. But my life for me growing up, I would say I had the most amazing mother, loving, compassionate, understanding. But my father, should I say my stepfather, I can't speak in the same manner of him, in the sense that how he dealt with me as a young youth, and I think that was one of the situations that really affected me as a young boy. My real father wasn't around. He left me and mum when I was about 7, and so my stepfather, when I say he left my mum, I left the picture. He went to America and lived, and my mum and my stepfather, literally, should I say, mum raised me. My stepfather was there in my life, but his role in my life wasn't as positive as I would like it to be, or shall I say a child deserves. Do you get what I mean? So as a youth growing up, I had fun times, but I was also blamed a lot for things that I didn't do. So I had a lot of issues within the family home, but being a child, I always encourage young people, I talk to them, to talk up for themselves. Because I was a person, I didn't used to talk to myself. I didn't talk how I felt or what was going on in my personal life. So I'd keep it to myself. And I think that's a very bad thing, but a lot of kids do. We grow up inside where a lot of people, even adults, don't express what they feel or what's going on. And that also eats away at you. And at the same time, whether you're introvert or extrovert, whether you express yourself or don't express yourself, it comes out in some way, innit?
Yeah.
So mine came out through a lot of anger at school. So in junior school, I was always getting myself in trouble, fighting. I remember seeing a woman that time I didn't know was a psychiatrist, because they said I'd have like split personality. I'll be cool 1 minute and then just flip next. So and then not telling my mother why I'm always like this, after a couple of years, and then me getting myself in trouble from age 11, started getting arrested and that. Looked like I was in trouble, innit, really, but these things my stepfather was saying to me, and he was doing that because it really triggered me, so I do always tell young people, to talk what you're going through, whether it's at home or in school or any type of way you feel like, situations are not helping you to prosper and be the best you can be. Yeah. People are encouraged to be the best you can be. Definitely try, to find the right people to talk to about it. It's really important.
Alright, so in terms of being a man, yeah, from what you told me, it sounded like you had to raise yourself. And now, in terms of being a man, what has life taught you in terms of raising yourself up now through your life? If you get what I'm saying.
What life taught me, I wouldn't say I had to just raise myself, because my mom, like I said, my mom was always there for me. She was an amazing woman. But you can't help someone if they don't talk. Does that make sense? Yeah. So me not talking about my issues, that couldn't help me. That's why I say it's so paramount that young people find someone to talk to, whether it's a parent, a friend, or whatever. Find someone to talk to, because I talk to my peers, and my peers were like me on the streets. Most of them had a father, grew up in old South Kibben Estate, broken home. That's already traumatized issues going on in your life already. So for me, it's like talking to my peers couldn't help me. We just kind of did the odd thing, not go to school, bunk school, this, that. I'm saying, so me, when I look at my bigger picture, like, to understand my journey was different from a lot of, like, I would say for a lot of young people. I went to 4 high schools. After junior school, I went to 4 high schools. I brewed out 4 high schools for the lifestyle that I lived. Like, I was going from high school to high school, truth for violence. I was getting kicked out of this school, that school. I was accused for taking a teacher's checkbook and card. Just a lot of things I went through, but because my anger issues, I had a lot of issues. So I won't say I technically grew by myself. What I would say is I didn't, or express myself, I didn't have the right role models around me to help me to become a better person. Do you get what I mean? So as an adult myself now, turning my life around and doing the things I do right now, regards to like youth work and book writing and documentary filmmaking and do all the stuff I do. I always try to encourage people, find yourself, like find the better you. Learn to believe in who you are, because we're never really taught. Like when you go in school, with all respect to school system, I was at school, not at home, and that's not just for myself, but I'll talk from my personal experience. But you don't actually learn. There's not a subject that where you're actually told to reflect on yourself. Do you get what I mean? You're not actually taught to reflect on you, to find yourself, to find who you are. Do you get what I'm saying? Your most of the things I tell you are things that actually put information given to you to take in. There's no one that actually says to you, well, what do you know, how to bring up, how you're not taught in school how to bring out the best of yourself. Sadly, it's not a bad thing that school don't teach it. Well, technically, if I was a teacher, if I had a way of bring that into the curriculum, I would. That we need to definitely learn to actually have something where we do a reflection, a whole subject based on reflection, and how to check yourself and look into yourself. We don't have that. And most of us don't actually taught that at home, because parents, if you have a parent, you know, some have two, if you're lucky, if you've got one parent, that parent's too busy working or doing other situation, they got problems, they're stressing over bills. There's other things they think about more than actually telling you, you know, who are you, what are you, what do you want to be in life? Do you get what I mean? So most of us ain't really taught that. So when you're not really taught those situations, and then you've got the wrong people actually giving you support, you know, and they remember their friends are not trying to deliberately give you bad support, but that's just what they've gone through, then they're gonna give you, do you get what I mean? And that's what you're gonna play with, and that's all you got to run with. And that's sadly for most youths.
So you see, like speaking up for yourself. Then, right? That's something that you observed in your own life, is speaking up. You said that you never used to speak up for yourself. How did you learn how to speak up for yourself?
That all came through me being incarcerated for the second time, my second incarceration. That's when I learned to speak up for myself. And it wasn't actually just learn to speak up for, I found myself. That makes sense. All the years when I was on the streets growing up and just being this well-known youth in South Kilburn, being all around Stonebridge, Church Road, everywhere back in the days, I was a wild child. South London, like, people knew me. I put in work on the streets, I was wild. Even though I looked like I was that confident guy, all that confidence was based on falseness. It wasn't real. If that makes sense. Like, looking back on it now, I can say it wasn't real. Back then, I thought it was real. I thought it was me. I thought that was the man, because I didn't understand who I was. Does that make sense? I didn't know who I was. So for me, this is my anger playing out, my emotions playing out, the trauma I've been through, the lack of self-confidence, being knocked down by my stepfather telling me no more times as a young person, you ain't gonna be nothing, you deserve to be in prison, and all type of manner of things he told me. That kind of had me believing like, well, I'm gonna do this and this is me in it, and not looking at who I really am. Like I said, I had no one to tell me to reflect and look at myself. Do you get what I'm saying? We don't grow in a society where we're taught to self-reflection from school. We ain't taught that in the home, sadly. So for me, I didn't have no one in it to show me that. So that come as a real, like, my life became like it had a massive impact on my life. Do you get what I mean? So for me, I think it's important that, you know, we learn to, you know,
that personal life skills.
Yeah, personal life skills, but more than personal life skills, take a time out to work out who we are. Like, how many people actually really know who they are in society? Like, really know what they really want to do in life, or who they really want to be. Like, instead of being a job that actually just pays the bills, because that's what we find in adults today, who's somebody's never even been on crime or done on that stuff, literally in a job that just pays bills. Are they really happy? Well, no, but it pays my bills.
Yeah.
Or you're in a career, in a job that actually you're getting paid, and you're getting paid really well. I'm not going to call names, but I know I got friends who are getting paid like 6-7 grand in computer jobs. But ask them if they're really happy. No.
Yeah, it's true though.
So what about self-reflection, about learning that who you are, what are your purpose in life? That's not taught in school. Sadly, like I said, it's not really taught in the family home. And it ain't down to bad parenting, but it's down to generations and generations of misunderstanding, mismanagement in the whole process of how life is shared out to our people. And I mean society, I'm talking about society on the whole. So there's a lot of unhappy people in this world. Yeah, so we live in a traumatized society. Forget about just the hood. The hood is double traumatized. But we live in a traumatized society anyway. Do you get what I mean? So we got to look at like the whole thing. You find it's like we live in a one big mess, and there's a lot of mess to deal with right now. So I took a lot of time. I had this time in prison, and again, it's only because I had a lot of long years in prison, sit down and reflect on myself. Because that's what it was. I took time out to reflect on me. I sat in that cell thinking, okay, all these things I've done in my life, all these bad things, when I was angry, everyone deserved it. They all deserved everything happened to them. Everything I'd done, everyone deserved it. But when I had time to reflect on my life and I thought about all these things, I thought, did they really? I realized that I had more to live with and more to deal with and more trauma to unwind when I realized that I was actually living in a false pretense and false ego. Because half the things I did, they didn't deserve it. I could have squashed certain things. Certain things didn't even have to go as far as it went. But again, it's because of the emotion I'm going through. And that boils down to even people in general day in a normal workplace. You have someone coming to work, angry as a manager, got problems at home with the wife, or she got problems with the husband, or bill can't be paid, and you come in and you take out one of your employees. It's a real life situation that's going on. It's a trauma that's hidden and buried deep in society that needs to be dealt with. But again, back in the hood, where there's poorer people, which according to NHS, there's more, they call it mental problems, but I would say trauma. Because not every trauma needs to deal with tablets and medicine. Some just needs a lot of self-reflection, analyzation to deal with, which I think that's the better mode. But there's studies on trauma all day long that tells you that, you know, people living in poor places are more likely to face with deeper impact of trauma. Do you get what I mean? But it's not just in the hood only. It's actually on all levels of society. But it's that recognizing that it's there and how do you deal with it. And I think this is really important because until we acknowledge the deep roots of issues that affect our people, I mean society, and then worse, even the hood, things are gonna get worse for youth, and that's sad. And you know what I mean? This is why like I said, I had time to think about it in prison. You get what I mean? But we live in a society that's so fast. Every day you get up, you gotta go to work, gotta go to school, gotta do this, gotta do that. By the time you get home, you have your dinner, 7 o'clock, child's gotta be in bed. Where's that time for that child to reflect on their life? More or less reflect on their day. How about the parent knowing what's going on in that child's life if you're so busy yourself? You get me? So it ain't about bad parenting, it's about how society's set.
So how long were you in prison for?
I was actually incarcerated for 8 years. When I was incarcerated 8 years, I was incarcerated in Jamaica. It was a murder charge up to manslaughter, so I got 15, so I ended up doing 8 out of it. And it was a rough sentence.
Is Jamaica prison like very different from UK prison?
Yeah, very different from UK prison. The sense that Jamaica prison, there's no bed in your cell. You have no bed in your cell, no toilet in your cell. The food's disgusting, though you might think it's Jamaica because you got, everyone knows Caribbean food's banging, but Jamaica prison, they purposely make the food just disgusting. Purposely give you like curry chicken skin and rice. Do you get what I mean? And it's like proper nasty food. Like, it's not no joke. They make, kidneys supposed to be like they make kidney just look, kidney's red, right? They make it look white and gooey and it's disgusting. They purposely make your rice and peas. Your peas are hard. You can bust someone's head with it. Like, it's that kind of situation. Life is hard. It's not even a joke. It's real. And everyone's got a knife. Like, it's really hard. Jamaica prison isn't a prison to sit down and feel it's fun. I was attacked in prison twice. There's 2 attempts in my life, a few attempts, but 2 attempts on my life that was both unsuccessful because of course I'm here. But there was stabbings in prison. There was a shooting in prison as well. A warder got shot by an inmate, and then a warder shot 2 inmates. Like, prison in Jamaica can be very crazy at times. They can just all out war. It was dynamite found in prison.
How did you get a gun in the cells?
That's down to other prisoners who got that,
That's mad. How did you cope in prison? Like,
how was I coping? At first I was I was angry. I've always been an angry child growing up. I've been an angry child, but I've always been a pleasant child. At the same time, I was a very loving person because I grew up around a loving mother. But I was an angry child, and I didn't want to tell her how I felt about my stepfather until crazy scene happened at home, and then she kind of knew there was more to my problems with him than she assumed. In prison, I coped because after a while, I stopped being so angry. I decided this anger was eating me up, and then at first I didn't even know it was anger that was actually just the cause of everything that I was really doing, my anger and my frustration. So I took time out to meditate and to focus, and to be honest, I started reading the Bible in there. I read every book. You give me a love book, I read it. You gave me a poem book, I read it. I read Tom Clancy, I read everything. Anything you gave me, I just read. I had more time on my hands than I wanted. But the greatest thing is when I decided that all this arts going on thing, I was listening to music, all that, but it didn't help me in prison because there's only a certain amount of it you can do. Do you get what I mean? I didn't want to talk to people every day because we were just talking about war stories and who's bad and who ain't bad, and I didn't want to hear all that all day. I just wanted time for myself. And only when I took time for myself out, then I realized that half of this, what was going on in my life, I was to blame because at the end of the day, no matter what someone does to you, which don't get me wrong, I'm 8. So for my stepfather to start doing what he was doing to me, and especially when my father disappeared, I'm 8 then because he was in my life before I was 8, but for him to start acting how he was acting, I had a lot of anger towards him, but at the same time, it's only when I matured up, I realized that he had his own issues to deal with. Because if you're a grown-ass man and then you're going to treat a young child with that in such manner, then you've got your own underlying issues yourself. So he had his own trauma to deal with. So I started to myself, stop carrying all the anger for him because he's got his own trauma. So I'm carrying his own issues and my issues too. And I decided to let that go and focus on me more than anything else. And then, because at one stage I'll be openly say I was gonna kill him when I came out. And now I see him and he puts his head down when he sees me. You know, so the tables are turned. He doesn't look at me as nobody no more. He's embarrassed, and he actually lives in where I live now, which is funny. So the way the universe works, they moved into my area that I moved into because I don't live in Kilburn no more. I came out of prison, I moved somewhere else. So the funny thing is, he sees me now, and he doesn't know what to do with himself. And I ain't got no anger against him no more because I'm cool. I'm in a much better place. He's got his issues to deal with. Do you get what I mean? So I think for me, prison gave me reflection time. But I would encourage young people, you don't have to go to prison to learn to reflect. You can sit at home and take 10 minutes out for yourself and ask yourself, who am I? What am I? What do I want to do in life? Like, what do I really want to do? Okay, I'm doing this now, but is this the be and the all? Or I'm in this job, or I'm in this apprenticeship, I'm in, but is this where I want to go? Where can I take this? What can I do with myself? And it's about really understanding who you are and what you are and valuing yourself and valuing every experience you go through. Because like I always tell people, a lot of people say, I want to be successful, I want to be successful. When I talk to young people, I tell them that every day you're successful. And then they ask me, what do you mean? I said, bro, I'm here at your school today. Like if I'm at school, so I said, I'm at your school today. And I'm like, what time do you lot get in? Who got in on time? They said, yeah. And everyone puts their hand up. I'm like, well, you're all successful, bro. Because you lot made it in time for school. I goes, that's a successful act. I goes, earn everything you do. Own it. Own everything you do in life. Every little thing you do in life, if you own it, every day you're going to make you feel better and better about yourself. The problem is we're not taught that. We're not taught the simple things in life to respect and own. Again, I said it's not don't respect society, but it's just the way we've grown up. We ain't taught to own every little thing. The fact that we're all here sitting down talking, this is something that everyone should own, that I'm here in time. I'm here doing this. If we don't own what we do, then we don't value ourselves. So we're never really learning to value ourselves from the get-go, from every little thing we do. And this is what I had to learn in prison. And sad I had to go there, but people don't have to go there to learn what I learned. They can learn it on the road. Just take time out to look at yourself and love everything you do. Every little thing, and put every little thing, whether they're errors or what. Trial and errors is all good because it makes you learn the best about yourself. Einstein said something about that, it's not what you, it's not, don't look at my successes, but look at my failures that got me to where I got. That's the key.
Would you say that prison made you value your time a lot more?
Yeah, it really made me value my time, value me. Like it made me value my life because time's endless. It will always be here with me here or not here. Time's gonna be. But it made me value what I do with the time while I'm here. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? It made me value my life and, start valuing other people's life. Like I said, I look back on all the things I've done and I thought, was it really worth it? Like, I was in probably a lot of situations, but it made me value who I am that I didn't even see that about myself before. I didn't even know that I see myself in a different light totally today than what I ever saw myself. And it's the way I want everyone to see themselves, because the reality is everyone's doing something. No matter how big or how small it is, there's movement in everything. You get what I'm saying? And in everything there's a blessing, but it's like most of us don't actually see it because we're never taught to look at it like that. We're not taught to own every small little thing we do. We're always like, oh, that's success is when you achieve that. Nah, that's not success, but that's not actually your achievement. Your success is every little step. For me, I say success is the process of steps that align with your entire goals. So everything you do, you earn it. You know what I mean? Like, take it's yours, bro. Don't let no one tell you that, you going just down the road to meet somebody for even a business meeting. If it don't go success, if it doesn't go the way you want it, that's not something to be happy about. Of course it is. You made it there and you had a conversation. That conversation is going to tell you, even if it didn't make it with him, you're going to go up the road and it's going to be, something else might work. Do you get what I'm saying to you? But it's still yours. Earn that you did that movement. Do you get what I mean? But we don't learn to value that. It's like, oh, we got on the road, I didn't get the job, so I'm upset. Nah, bro, you went to try something, you didn't get that job, doesn't matter. That's you still went. Earn it, earn your journey.
Yeah, you still tried.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It doesn't even say a try, it's a journey. So every movement is successful, everything. It just depends on your mind state. Do you get what I mean?
Do you feel that you got the help from the system that you needed at the time, either here or Jamaica?
The help from the system, nah. In regards to like, you mean what I was going through?
Yeah, like in terms of sort of your childhood experiences, and then when you was incarcerated, do you feel like did the system work for you, or was it all come from within?
The system, everything came from me in regards to my growth and development. The system didn't help me. In fact, I don't want to just burn the system down because that's not me. Because I tell you, like I said, when I was 8 and the social worker woman was talking to me, I didn't actually tell her, you know, that I got anger issues at home and all that kind of stuff. Because, you know, I grew up in a Caribbean family. We don't tell people your problems, which is a bad thing. Again, as I said, it's a bad thing. We like to sweep things under the carpet, innit? I didn't tell no one nothing. So when the woman asked me, "Oh, why are you so angry? Why a minute you're talking nice to teach, next minute you throw a ruler at a teacher's face?" And I'm like, "Teacher something." That time teacher say nothing, but I'm just gonna black it out. Do you get what I mean? So I'm not gonna say it's the system themselves. Like, of course, there's people trying to help me, but again, did they understand me to help me?
Yeah.
And then I grew up when we grew up in a society where even today, I work with young people and different services. Every borough's got their own services of social service and everything. But most families shut down when they hear social service come to their doors.
Yeah.
Because the first thing is you're gonna take my child away. There's a lot that
You're taught to be silent.
And you're taught to not look at the. You're taught to understand the system isn't there to support you, even if some are. But it's a repetitive pattern that people's gone through. Makes most people feel like, well, avoid the system, don't want to deal with the system. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
So for me, it's like, as you grow up, I already knew that, innit? Like, avoid them people, they don't need to know your business. So that's just part of the upbringing. That goes for everybody in society. Most families you talk to now, whether black, white, Indian, Chinese, they're not going to be taught to social service when you come to the house, and they're not going to talk to police or whatever, because authority is like something you kind of keep at bay. Do you get what I mean? And for me, as a youth growing up, well, it was a situation where I wasn't going to tell school my personal business. Hell no, not in my mum's situation. I love my mum, except if I hate him, but what can I do? Like, I'm not going to tell them my business. So I'm just going to keep it cool. There's nothing. And when I go on road, someone's getting punched up for it, because that was my style. When I'm angry, I just go on road and beat somebody up, whether it's innocent or not. I literally go on road and I'll hurt people. Like, that was my mentality. For me, I won't say the system totally let me down, but again, the system isn't set and designed to again help young people go through trauma. Like, even today, in the system we are like, that's like 30 years later. When you look at it, most young people even go through seeing their friend being stabbed or anything in this society to what we live in today. How much of them actually get support regards to like seeing a therapist or anything else? None. Yeah. You're just got to go home and deal with your tears and your cries and everything else. There's no one there to help your trauma. So a lot of young people are seeing problems. Then if a young person was like, he's got a mum or dad at home and mum's eating dad, dad's eating mum or mum's eating dad, vice versa, or situation where there's a financial problem, mum's broke, they're not going to go and say, "Oh, can I tell my auntie?" Or mum said, "Don't tell nobody," because again, you got family feuds in the families, and then you know, an auntie might have money, but she looks down on your mum because she's doing better, and so then the child ain't gonna tell the auntie, "Can I borrow money?" So the first thing I want to go out and find money. So we lived in a really messed up society. Like, really, the society that we live in, with all respect, is messed up. And that's in all type of families. You find that from the rich to the poor, it's there. But again, that in the slum, it's even worse. But I think in the slum, it's more focused on. Yeah. By society, it's more focused on. In the hoods, they're focused on. But these are like major issues, and it all boils down to trauma. Trauma has a massive role in our society, and it's something that's not been addressed. Not been addressed at all. All these kids are going through all these situations. Not to mention all these games that they're putting out, like these Grand Theft Auto and all the rest of them, the music videos that ain't helping, and you know, there's a lot of emphasis and money projected in negativity, but then yet people get chastised for the negativity.
So we sort of like, we suppress emotions and then emphasize violence in terms of music videos.
Music videos, everything. Music videos, movies we did for donkey years. Hollywood's been killing it. Do you get what I mean? It's like, it's just the way, like, it's a society that we live in. But again, it boils down to individuals, because society is made up of individuals. But it's about individuals changing themselves, isn't it? So for me, my thing is, if I can touch every young person or even parent, because when I work with young people, I work with parents too, because I think it's good to work the holistic way. So I work with young people and I deal with the mums, I deal with the fathers. Sometimes I might take mum to gym, you know, it depends, because some of that stressed out, frustration, child's wild, you know, it's important. But it's about really understand the bigger picture of how just the massive impact to society, like the vibration, the energy society pushes itself is very low. Do you get what I mean? It's not really pushing a high vibration to lift everybody's spirit up. And then that's again, it's no hit out on society. It's just the reality is we're not taught in a specific manner or way how to conduct ourselves. And I think it's important that we start doing more things to addressing the deeper roots of issues and problems than actually just looking on the surface and trying to deal with it. Because again, if it wasn't for prison, which is sad to say, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I would have maybe come out of prison and I would have toppled my stepfather, and then I would have gone on to do other craziness. But because I had a lot of time to look at myself, reflect on myself, I've gone from having no qualifications, being booted out of 4 schools, to having a degree in medicine. Do you get what I mean? In fact, I actually got my degree up in university just up the road from me.
Yeah, I'm saying like one of the maddest things that I find is that cool. Like there's certain societies and that like certain countries where certain kids and that they get involved in these things because they have to get involved in these things. You get the 50% kids that don't come from that, and you get the kids that do come from something. Like you were saying about like certain families, they come from trauma and whatever, and it's gone down the line now. So it may come from your parents, and then your parents may give it to you or whatever. What I'm saying is like a lot of these kids are that because they're so easily influenced as well, like from their friends, and like it's one of them ones where they want to go to jail and they want to go and do all these things, but they don't even, because there's no concept of time, because there's no concept of them like valuing their own life. They don't know what self-respect is. They don't know what self-worth is, because like they weren't taught these things growing up or nothing. But it's like the badness and that, it looks so cool. It looks even cooler than your own life. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
No, I get you, bro, because for some people it does. The badness does look to some youths. I get what you're saying that, because I had friends back in the days, I was growing up in South Killy, 1 or 2 youths that I knew they didn't really have to go through certain things we was going through. But be honest with you, like this youth had a lot of money, like his parents had a lot of money, shall I say. But I think his family was over smothering him. So that kind of led him to the streets. There's always an underlying issue why some kids hit the streets. But you're right, there are some kids who don't need to. Do you get what I'm saying? And they just see it as a lifestyle choice and they're enjoyable. But because people glamorize the street life and make it look like it's enjoyable. But if I was to talk about the amount of friends, like real talk, half of South Killy, original South Killy, real South Killy guys from my generation are dead. In fact, 3/4 South Killy guys who are my generation are dead. Dead. Not talking about like, just locked up, dead. Listen, missing, gone, off the face of earth. Never to be seen again. They're gone. Do you get what I'm saying? Half the boys I used to roll with when I was growing up in Harlesden, Church Road, majority of them are doing life. Like majority of my friends from Church Road, Stonebridge, Harlesden, my generation, life. Majority of them, a few of them dead, you understand? But most of them just jail time, lock off, 40 years. So it sounds glamorous, but it's not as glamorous as a lot of people think, because the risk versus reward, it doesn't make sense. You might make a little 10 bag here, 5 bag here, this, that. Even a man making 60, 80 bag. But once you go prison for life, remember you ain't spend that money now. Someone spend that money for you. So the risk versus reward don't even make no sense. Do you get what I'm saying? And then all that money you're making and that trouble that follows it, it's another question than having to look over your back after you do certain things and done certain things. Because imagine like when I came out,
karma in it.
Yeah, like for me when I changed my life around, I came out of pen after my second sentence, my first sentence, and then but even that because you're talking about how people view it, I did 2 prison sentences in Jamaica. First time I was 15 for drug trafficking. I used to drug traffic when I was 15. See, because I grow a bit different from the average child. When most children should be working on their exams, I'm working on my P. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm drug trafficking. I got booted at 4 high schools anyway. Do you get what I'm saying? I got no school to go to. I'm a wild child. Like some people tend to be wild, but I was also a wild child. Did the unnormal things that most people won't do. What they're doing now, I did it years ago. Do you get what I'm saying? And my first sentence, I'm in the cell, there's like be a man in the cell, and it's not even a joke. Because my mum, I got out of prison that time. My mum was alive and she had made connections in Jamaica. Money speaks in Jamaica and I right connections. It's kind of bandu the country still. You see what I'm saying to you? Lovely country, but things can't work in it. And I got off this drugs charge. But it's like, the little time I did with man, it was mad. If it wasn't for you named Bussop from South, and I'll call his name, and God bless if he's alive today. But if it wasn't for him, I know I would have got my face wheel up and I would have been spin propeller. But because he took me into his family, man, them kind of give me respect on the block. And in my cell, like man, I take the top off and fan the man because it's hot in Jamaica cell. So you got to take a t-shirt and fan a man in his cell. Now enough man don't talk about the experience they go through, and I saw a man do that. And a man say you can't wee in a bucket because in Jamaica prison there's no cell, there's no toilets in your cell, innit? So you got a bucket to pee in. And if a man says you can't pee in a bucket, what are you gonna do? If you wee yourself, what should I do you? And if a man's got their knife on you, on them, what are you gonna do? These are experiences that people don't talk about. Even over British styles, I got friends who talk to me on the bell and we chat. And he's like, blood, them man, they're full, them man, they're marshmallow, blood, they're soft. They come out the block. But when you see that same person on the road, he walks like he done his sentence like, no problem. I'm but man, know there's a marshmallow in there, innit? Like you was rubbish, bro. You were nothing, you were patty. Man had you off weak. You get what I'm saying? The people don't talk about that stuff that happens in prison. You might locate with a man, and the man's stronger than you, and the man's more like aggressive and anything. You're in the cell with him, and he's like, yo, he might be talking to his friends, or you might just want to talk all night to himself. What are you gonna do? You got to shut up and cuddle up with your pillow and just humble, because they punch you up if you talk. Or you might want to go poo, and the man said, you can't shit right now, blood. Like, I want to eat food. What are you gonna tell him? Because the man will punch you up.
You see, like
these
cool,
things
like,
happen.
Because I can relate to you on not speaking up for myself, yeah, like when I was younger and that, cause the things that I went through and that. But I'm saying, I feel like in them situations there, innit, there's two ways that you can look at things, innit? And I've had conversations with people about this stuff as well. It's like, logically speaking, I've had people try to rob me and that, and I've had guns put up to my chest and that. Yeah, but at the same time, it's like, if I could have, when the trauma affects you so bad to the point where it's like, right, am I gonna let somebody do that to me again? You know what I mean? Or am I gonna do something about it? And I feel like this is one of the maddest things about life is that, yeah, you can think about things logically, but then at the same time, where's like I was saying about your self-respect, because you have to speak up for yourself at the same time. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, yeah, your life is important, but then cool, you may have to shut your mouth for a bit and then come back later and then do something later. But then other than that, at the same time, it's like, am I gonna be, because if I'm treated like a fool, and then other people start treating me like a fool, and then I start perceiving myself like a fool, and I can't take myself seriously when I'm looking at myself in the mirror, what am I gonna do about that? And that's what you were saying, like, what would you do in them situations? What would you do in it?
I'm trying to work out what you're saying. Like, technically, if you're going through a situation, with regard to myself, it's mainly my stepfather. But like I said, when I was on streets, I didn't seem like I had any issues in regards to like confidence, because I'm a main dude in South Killy back in. I'm a main dude. When I'm going to bridge and churches, I'm a main dude in my generation. I wasn't like the underdog or nothing. I looked like the main dude on the road. But I had my own internal issues where I look like, I'm in a dance, I'm at love, I'm at the same time like Nasty Love and all them sound like Asha Wallaga movements. I'm a young boy. I'm at all these clubs and dance at age of 12. I look like the big man, like I'm 12 but I'm rolling with a bigger man. Like I'm a young youth, but I look like I'm this mad, super confident dude, innit? But deep down, I felt that confident, but it wasn't real. It was all based on illusions. But in regards to, that's what I'm saying to you. There's a different perception of then when someone keeps bullying you, like, and it's a road thing, because of course some youths might want to retaliate. But then again, there's also a trauma experience in that as well. If someone keeps bullying you on road, then you might want to retaliate or you might not. Depends on your mindset.
But you see, this is what I'm saying. You end up going back home now, and then you're sitting there with your thoughts, and then you still got to deal with the reality of that happened to you. So you're gonna carry on living like that, or you're gonna do something about it.
True, or you can turn that situation around and do something completely different from the opposite. In other words, you don't have to even do something about that. You can actually move yourself from the whole scenario. Yeah. Which that was my ego, because when I was younger, a man would say something. Well, most people didn't even ramp me, but if a man had a problem, like for instance, I won't say names, but I had a problem on church when I was a youth growing up with some youth them still, and I went up there by myself. I don't want to go into too much details, you get what I'm saying, but the man in the block knows, you get what I'm saying, the oldest of my generation knows what happened. I could have took myself away from the whole conversation, even though everything's cool now, but I didn't have to react how I acted. There's things that happened in South Killy that I didn't need to do. Like, for instance, a youth I robbed. I can say it because I got caught on this robbery. I didn't have to rob that youth. I could have allowed him, but is my ego made me do certain things. So what I could have took myself in a situation. So it's not I'm saying not everything is worth doing. Like, for instance, the murder that I got done for in Jamaica, these youths knew what time was with me. I'm not boasting there, but they knew what time was with me because I got a book come out of my life and it does more explain about the kind of violence I was up to. Because like I said, at the age of 15, I was done for armed robbery. I wasn't into like petty stupidness. I was doing, like, I was proper putting in work. I was robbing streets, drugs, and I was done, the police claimed I did a robbery in a shop. they wasn't me. For that robbery, that particular robbery, I'm just trying to give you the scenarios what they had me into. I'm not saying I did it. But police arrested me on an armed robbery at the age of 15. And that armed robbery, the same day it happened, God above knows I was actually with the police on the ID parade. So that was my alibi. My alibi was the police. Imagine, they thought I was in Brixton police station when actually this robbery took place. But that's what they had me up for. I was a bit about my stuff, innit? But the reality I'm saying to you is, certain things, this last thing that happened to me in Jamaica, I could have walked away from this. And I'll be frank, the way it happened, if I was in a different state of mind, I would have got up from the table. It was like, technically, it was on a table like this. I could have got up and moved. But my ego had me sitting down and chilling. Mm-hmm. Because I knew how brave I was. I knew I was confident. I knew I could do this. I knew I could handle it. Wait. So I sat down there. I should have got up and walked. But everything happens for a reason, because, again, I wasn't in that state of mind to get up and walk.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So I'm saying that sometime before we even rush and jump into anything, think about it first. Is it worth it? And is there another way about dealing with things? Because again, our ego takes over a lot in us. In society, this is what our ego gets bruised so easy, so quick. That man violated me, I'm going to do this. Bro, I can just cut and just don't even deal with you again, or just don't do that situation again. You know, there's times when man got hurt. Like, people were warring over small things back in days. A £10 jaw and a man gets stabbed for it. You know what I'm saying? Things that you could just say, you know what, I'm locking this guy off. I ain't giving no more weed again. I'll go sell somebody else. There's so many scenarios you can think of that when you look at the bigger picture, what happens even today, why some men are warring and beefing, doesn't make sense. They could turn away from it. But again, the pride, the ego, and additional trauma, because again, like you said, it's happened to me before, it's happened to me before, it's happened to me before. I'm making it happen to me no more. Sometimes instead of reacting in a negative, take away from the situation.
So let me ask you, like, what do you think of the saying, a coward dies 1,000 deaths, but a man only dies once?
A coward dies 1,000 deaths, but a man only dies once. I haven't looked into that to really answer that, but a coward dies 1,000 deaths.
It's basically like...
Yeah, please explain to me.
So basically, like, a coward dies 1,000 deaths means that a man that doesn't stand up for himself, speak up for himself, you know what I mean? Like, doesn't stand his own ground in situations. I'm not just talking about what we was chatting about. I'm talking about in, like, verbal altercations or whatever, you know what I mean? But obviously, he always ends up... It's like what you were saying. You could get bullied in your ends. Yeah, or you could just be getting bullied in your workplace or whatever, and you end up going back home now, and then you're stuck with your thoughts. And then, cool, yeah, you know it's your ego, but you still got to deal with it every day. And you see now, you will end up going mad if you don't deal with them situations. That's where it's like a man only dies once. You know what I mean? Because he deals with these situations.
Let me add to that though. They say sweet words turn away wrath. Yeah, so you can deal with a situation without actually dealing with it in a negative way. There's times like I said, when I was younger, on the streets, I was stand to myself, but my stepfather, I didn't. So I want to make you understand that. It was through my stepfather and the situation at home, I didn't talk my feelings. But on the streets, of course, I was well known for speaking up, doing things and everything else. Do you get what I mean? So I had two personalities. One at home, that most young people have that. Yeah. You're at home, you have a different personality with your parents. You just, I'm cool parents. Some of them, and some kids are actually on a different spectrum where me, I was good with my mum, but as I walk out the road, I'm a nutcase. Where some kids are easy on road, but when they go home, they're rude to their parents. So it's different spectrums. So we've got to look at the different dynamics. Again, you've got to understand the whole, again, trauma is a massive thing. It's not just to do with just someone going through anger issues. Trauma is a massive online issue, which a thing that beside it, a thing that comes with it called vicarious trauma. And vicarious trauma is when it's not actually your situation, someone else's situation. So just by me even say if I know you're always going through problems at home, I could go home and start worry about your own problems. Then they're taking it on my own family too. So I'm listening to your problems, but not going with your problems to my family. That's called vicarious trauma, because I'm bringing the trauma onto somebody else who doesn't even belong to them. This is reality of society. And I'm saying that you can talk up for yourself. It's important too, and I always encourage young people to talk up to themselves. But there is a way of doing it as well. There's a way of speaking. Communication is an art, you know. We look at communication because we can talk naturally. We just see it as nothing because we can talk. We can get up and walk, and we don't realize it's an art. If you watch a baby, how a baby, the journey of walking for a baby, and you look back on it and you really look at it, analyze it, it's an art. But we take full advantage. We don't take full advantage of it that we can talk. We actually abuse the ability to speak. Is how do you speak? How are you going to put your words across? How do you come across? I've been in situations even of late that if I I could have gone angry, vibes, bring out the old me. Hey, man, I got for something. All that rubbish don't make no sense. But I sat down with a person, talked to him, discussed, and you know what? End up saying, hey, I need you with me, bro. We're gonna do this together. Sometimes, like I said, sweet turn it rough. It's about communication and how you speak. Because I constantly tell people all the time, speaking isn't just speaking. It's an art. And listening isn't just listening. It's actually really hearkening to somebody clean. Like, really, because I don't think we do that enough in society. We talk a lot, but do we listen? We don't. We speak a lot, but are we actually speaking to somebody, speaking at somebody, speaking over someone? It's understanding, it's an art.
Yeah,
Communication is a skill. Do you get what I mean? And I think we lack that in society. Again, sadly.
That's a nice segue. You talk about baby steps. So, when was the first step you took in realizing that I need help? I need to change my ways. I need to turn my life around because this ain't working for me no more. You've seen your boys go inside. You're burying your boys. When was the first step that you took?
You know, before I went to prison, my last sentence in 1998. Before I went to prison for the murder of Dr. Manslaughter, 98. I actually tried to in 97. I started realizing that I want to come off the road, and I started growing my locks. And I was that time, you wouldn't believe because I'm balded, but I had my locks until I was growing my locks. I wanted to kind of stem from the streets because I realized that this road ain't for me, but I didn't know how to try to make a transformation. I was doing consciousness, but I was still hitting the streets as well. So I was dabbling. I had like 1 foot in, 1 foot out, one hand in, one hand out. It just didn't work. I had one eye towards the goal and one eye towards the roads. It just wasn't working in it. And I think a lot of people, again, live that road life today. They live that limbo. I'm a road man, but really and truly, I'm part kind of street guy. I'm kind of good guy. But what I realized is I tried to do both, it didn't work. And it kind of got me confused. What I think that people really need to realize that this whole road is a big illusion. It's a massive illusion with no winner. Do you get what I'm saying? And for me, I think prison gave me the time, that real time I needed, which, like I said earlier, sadly that I took prison, but I had that time to reflect on me, to look into myself. Because, like I said, society is so fast going, you never have time on the road to look in yourself. We hardly ever learn about that. You know what I mean? Family, education system, none of them really tell you to take time out and to reflect on yourself. Do you get what I mean? It's just not something taught. I mean, no disrespect to most parents, but how many children are really good footballers? I was an amazing footballer. I used to play for King Power when I was little. But no one pushed that. Not that mum didn't respect that, but she was like, get your education first though, but you don't go football training because you ain't going to even got your schoolwork, blah, 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 blah. Most people say that, and they don't mean bad for you. But that's their thought pattern. They're not letting you feel your passion. To me, I think it's so important we find our passion. Allow young children to see their passion. My passion was football. I loved it. My passion was karate. But it wasn't pushed enough. It wasn't emphasized enough. Do you get what I'm saying? It's funny, I've gone back to my passion because I do, like I said, I did a degree in musculoskeletal rehabilitation in St. Mary's Twickenham. That I do work with young people now. It allows me to help young people with their sports injuries and I'm passionate about sports. But I've got a 360 degree where if my passion was focused when I was young, like where else would I be? And if you push my passion more than anything else, then I'm naturally going to do good in my school anyway. Because if they followed me in my football and pushed my football journey as a youth, then I would have. And again, it's not bad on my parents or bad on any parent out there. But I will say that if your child has a passion, you know, let that child hold that passion, grasp that passion and push them, because that's going to make that child be the best that child can be, because they're doing something they really love. And in doing that, they're going to they'll be striving, their confidence will grow, they're building, they're doing what they really love. And naturally, their school things and everything will fall in place. Do you get what I mean? But I think it's so important to push the passion. And, you know, like I said, we just live in society, we're just not pushed. And it took me prison to learn, to understand who I was and my passion. And I had a passion for writing when I was younger. You know, these are the kind of things I used to do, because I used to write to myself when I was younger, like write little things about how I feel. And, you know, but passion is something that is so important that, you know, we engulf, and I learned that in prison.
So what is your passion now? So what are you up to right now? Like, what is Stephen Graham doing?
My passion is multiple, because I don't believe in one dimensional. I'm not a one dimensional person. I mean, we live in a multiple dimensional plane. Do you get what I'm saying? So we've got 2 hands, 2 feet, and you get what I'm saying? So for me, I don't see just one thing. People say jack of all trades, a master of none. I don't believe in that neither. I believe you can be a master of everything you do. Do you get what I'm saying? Limitation we set on ourselves. So I do sports work. I do boxing, kickboxing with young people, help them with their anger. Also help train fighters anyway. I do fitness. My main focus is filmmaking. I've made 18 documentaries. traveling around the world, especially mostly in Northeast Africa, Middle East, and in America, and documents over here. I've done gang work in Chicago. Done 3 documents out there. 2, one I've released, 2 I've yet to release. Turned my book I wrote into a cartoon. I've got 3 new books coming. Do you get what I mean? Like, I've done so much things. In the space of me turning my life around, I've achieved more than some people, with all respect, would achieve in their whole lifetime by living and doing the things I want to do, leaving a name for myself and my legacy in this world, and actually living my legacy. When people are telling me today, like, oh, I love a documentary, I saw a documentary, helped my life, and this, that, like, you can't get a better reward than it. Like, I'm living the joy that I want to live. Do you get what I mean? Instead of just making money for the sake of making money, I'm actually living something that makes me happy.
So where can young people find these documentaries?
You find my documentary on my YouTube channel. You can, which is
What's your YouTube channel?
SG Media.
SG Media.
SG Media, yeah. You can find my documentary YouTube channel, which is about history, documentaries about history, religion, culture. I write books. I got a book called I'm a Gun. Then you can find it on Amazon. I'm a Gun.
What's the name of it?
I'm a Gun. I'm a Gun.
I'm a gun.
Yeah, I'm a Gun. Find it on Amazon. Technically talk about it's a metaphorically written about violence, about gun crime in the community. And so I wrote from a gun perspective. So the gun tells a story. Do you get what I mean? Because having that experience of a youth growing up, you know, I knew weapons made me feel like that's that guy stronger, innit? Like, I'm not saying every person diss me, I'll wipe out a weapon and start doing my thing. But I could look at you and laugh and think to myself, blood, I own your soul right now. That's the way I used to think when I was younger. Like, I own your soul. If we're arguing, I own your soul, innit? I just laugh off and let you go on. Because I know to myself, bro, I could have done you right here, innit? Like, whatever it is, a knife, whatever I got on me, it is what it is, innit? Like, do you get what I'm saying? But that's the reality of how it makes you feel. So that's why I wrote the book from that perspective. Like, I love that. Like, it was most guys do certain things. Would they do what they did if they never had that in their hand? Do you get what I'm saying? Would they be as brave to do what they do?
With the young people or even other professionals listen to this, where can we contact you? Have you got a website?
Yeah, my website is stephengrahamprojects.com. That's where you can find like my documentaries, especially my documentary on like Chicago, the gangs work I've done in Chicago, my I'm a Gun cartoon, I turned a book into a cartoon, or a 3D animated movie. It's a 3D animated movie, and also I got a short film on there as well that I made. My first short movie, as well as all my writing workshops, music workshops. I do like workshops in regards to trauma, leadership, gangs and street culture, because I break down the whole concept of gang street culture, where it came from, not using the LA concept, but using the Chicago concept, which predates the LA concept that a lot of people follow. You know, I do a lot of different things, man. I kind of versed in history and culture, because I think it's important too. You know, re-educate the young people to what's really going on. I do a lot of stuff on history, on Black history, and all different stuff. You know, because I think it's important again to teach all people, you know, history from a different perspective. Because you don't learn much about Black history in media in schools. Which before this Corona, I was actually going to a few schools teaching it, a different aspect of Black history. Because I think it's important that everyone learns and understands more about history from a different perspective. So yeah, so it's something I'm doing, and yeah.
Well, I mean, so you did work in Chicago with young people. Now, is there any differences between young people in London to young people in America?
Yeah, there's differences in regards to
violence?
what they see. Yeah, youth violence is more it's more rife. When I was in Chicago, it was 120, 130 people died in 1 month. I mean, the young people in Chicago, they see more violence, and the trauma is crazy because, you know, over here, you know, we have the rich and poor, but over in Chicago, the spectrum of rich and being poor is really, really massive. So in the hoods, you see a lot of unemployment. It's like over here, but it's more, less opportunities in Chicago, especially in certain areas. The gap is, massive. The gap is massive because, I mean, in 1 month when I was there, I forgot, I can't remember what month it was, but there was like 100 and something murders in 1 month.
Wow.
And then that's like Inglewood, that's crazy. You get what I'm saying? Chicago has a high violence rate. You get what I'm saying? And the youths are living there. You know, like, we're not saying the youths over here living their badness that they're singing the music, but Chicago guys are actually doing this violence and music together. And you know, you see in the music, and it's kind of crazy still. Do you get what I mean? But then it's not that some people are not doing some people are doing it for the fun of it. Some people's like a way out. Like I got my documentaries where I done called Chicago to UK. I got 3 series of it. One's on my YouTube channel. The other 2 I'm gonna put them out soon. And it just explores. I'm talking different people. There's some guys from like 300 Dirk's crew on it. There's different guys from different GMC gang. There's different Chicago gangs on it. But they all got the same thing in common. No one's really doing this to stay in this. They want to get out of it. And they're messaging the documentary telling the youth in England, like, that's why it's called Chicago to UK, why are you not trying to get in this lifestyle? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, we're losing too much family, friends, generations of, uncles and aunties, because most of their gangs is generations. Like, under here, where if you guys get together, this is generational gangs where your dad was a part of that and your mum was a part of that. Or, do you get what I mean? And they're like, we've lost so much. Like, why are you running into it? And I think, like, this is what I'm saying, the too much, the over-glamorization of violence through music and that, I think, and not just through movies, through social media outlets, as well as just peer-to-peers talking, like people boasting about their street experience. Like I could sit here and I could boast about things that I've done, but again, that's me telling you a full story, because I've got a lot of pains and sorrows that I've got to live with that I can't even talk about. There's a lot of things that I can't mention about for lack of reprisals, or open up a can of worms and destroying someone's legacy, someone maybe dead, putting them in trouble, or at the same time bringing other friends who are alive into problems where we all going to do a bird for it. Do you get what I'm saying? Or worst case scenario, dead. So you got to live a lot of things so these lot, that's why in America they're popping pills hard, because they've got a lot of things going on with. These young youths are popping pills. They're doing a lot of stuff. They're taking the lean pills. They're taking coke. They're doing all that, and it's not for the fun of it. It's because they got to live with a lot of issues, and they got no one to talk to. Huh? Yeah, coping mechanisms. Yeah, it's real. You get what I'm saying? So. There's a lot that comes with this lifestyle of streets that people just kind of think, oh, it's all great and it's all glamour and glitter. It ain't glamour and glitter. It's rubbish, because when you think about even a man out there doing your stuff on the streets, how much people do you have to hurt to get what you got? That's how you got to look on it. Like, if you look on it like that, you know what I'm saying? How much people does a person have to hurt to get whatever it is you're doing? I'm not even going to start labeling situations, but any man who's got anything on the streets, how many people got hurt along the line for you to get what you got?
From what you're saying, like you say, whatever happens in America, it transports its way across the Atlantic over to UK.
That's a fact.
And it seems like it has done fully. And they've UK youth have embraced it with drill music as well, and like you say, promoting themselves.
Let's look at this again. That's why I said it's a systematic. Again, I'm not hitting out against nobody. Regards to the system, I'm just making things very, very clear. Let's look at going back to, this is what I call pre-programmed designs, a system that's pre-programmed designed. Let's go back to Chicago, Jamaica, and I'm gonna put Jamaica into it as well, because let's not forget the influence of Jamaica in this place, in Chicago. Let's look at we call in the LA the concept of gang, what we use over here by Home Office, which is 2012. It came into the play that 2 or 3 walk together is a gang, right? It's a gang, which don't make sense because humans like to bond anyway, but they call it a gang. That's Home Office definition of a gang. From 2012, 2012 definition of Home Office, 2 or 3 walk together. Well, that's the LA concept. Yeah, Chicago concept which predates that, because Chicago had the gangs before the LA, way before. Chicago concept predates that, and the word gang in Chicago, it stands for government assisted neighborhood groups. Yeah, so it's assisted by the government. So anything you see playing out is passed down. Yeah. Now, this happened in Chicago where history of like Jeff Ford and them, that they had a whole different hold in Chicago. That's why Chicago was a while out how it is. They had gangs in that. We know Al Capone them before Scarface. That's Chicago. Chicago was the home of the gangs. Everyone's on this LA because of Crips and Bloods. But Chicago's got one of the oldest gangs in LA is actually Chicago gang. Yeah. When the oldest gang was done by I think it's T. Rogers. He went from Chicago to LA and started the gangs, the P Stones, the Stones in Chicago, the Stones the Pyro Stones in LA was started by a Chicago guy. Chicago's gang thing goes back a long time, like Vice Lords, they go back a long time, like Chicago, the whole gang scene in Chicago, the Nation, the Black Nation, they go back years. But the point I'm making is, when you look at the concept of all this gang situation, government had a massive role to play in the infiltrating of how the gangs were. Most gangs really started off in LA, even like the Bloods and Crips, they never started off being gangs to be violent for each other. That was never their whole point of it. It was always about doing for your neighborhood, helping your neighborhood, etc., etc. But then of course, with the infiltration of drugs and guns, everything plays out different. And it's a no-brainer. If you put 20 people together in a room and leave them without no food, no money, and after a month or two you throw one piece of chicken in, we're gonna fight for that chicken. He ain't my friend no more. I wanna eat. That's just infiltration. That's what happened over there. And this reality is, you know, it went there. Jamaica, the same thing. Jamaica had money, was a wealthy place. Then all of a sudden, Jamaica had a poverty stage. 1960, they started putting on cowboy shows and Jamaican movies, cowboy shows in Jamaica. When you think about 1970s, name most of Jamaican greatest artists back in those days. Brigadier Jerry, Lieutenant Stitchie, Captain Barkey. All these artists had military names. They're watching cowboy movies. Influenced by cowboy shows, 1980 Jamaica was blood selection. You feel me?
Yeah.
So it's been a pre-programmed thing that's happened in society for a hot minute. Do you get what I'm saying? And same thing over England. We had the first movie back in the days, Colours, that came out from LA, that movie Colours. And everyone got gassed on Colours in the 80s. And then you keep working way down, and then before you know it, do you get what I'm saying? We got what we got today. And then since the media's opened up, the internet, we've got all America's trauma because it's exposed. We're all exposed to everything now. And then we can see everything's going on there, and then we get frustrated over it, which again, we carry vicarious trauma. Then we got mad problems on the street. So it ain't like it's happened by accident. You get what I'm saying? It's just like, how do we deal with it? And how do we start waking up the people to realize who they are and their worth?
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And that's the key. It's about re-educating our people on the roads.
All right, Steve. So what's your views about the disproportionate amount of young black men in UK prisons today?
To be on the road, that's a real topic.
I mean, that's a podcast in itself, right?
Yeah, that is 100%. That's a big topic. But I mean, let's break it down quickly. Like, we're actually 2.9% of people in this country, not 3%, but people say we're 3% because they round it off. We're actually 2.9% of people in this country is black. So for that, the fact that majority of the prison population is black, ethnic minority in prison, that clearly shows there's a big issue. And people can say, well, there's a big issue in crime in the black community, but then there's also a systematic failure in society. Because if you've got a small minority that are constantly going so much time in prison, then it's not just the people who are doing crime, but it's also a direct failure on the system's behalf. Does that make sense? Because if people are alert to crime, and again, it's not all black youths are alert to crime anyway, because that's the next stereotype which isn't true. But if there's a high percentage of young black males in prison, there's definitely something the system needs to look at and analyze and wonder what's going on. Not that they haven't done it, I'm just saying that they need to analyze. Because if you've got a class of young kids, and majority of young kids ain't learning what's going on the slide, then it has to tell you there's something wrong with the teaching method that's going on. So if you've got a majority of kids that's constantly if you've got a majority of a population in a prison that represents a prison population, you have to ask yourself what in society is not doing. So that's the first thing. The fingers need to stop pointing at the young youths that are getting incarcerated and black community, and we need to start opening our minds up and our eyes up and look at how do we then deal with the issue. Because it's not just new, because this has happened in America already. America's got again, black people is one of the most highly incarcerated in America. It's a pattern that's replicate pattern that's following. So I say that people need to reanalyze how they deal with the youth. Look at what's causing this to happen in the youth. Look at what's happening in the communities where these youths come from, and then you understand the bigger issue isn't just the youths themselves. There's a deeper systematic issue why majority of youths are actually incarcerated.
You got to treat the sickness, or you got to treat the cause.
The cause, which is the system has to look at itself. System has to look at itself instead of just looking at the young people. Because looking at the young people alone is not going to answer it's not going to change the problem. But it's looking at the system itself, how the system is designed. Is it really geared for the young people? Because again, we've got to look at, in the education system, our young people talk much about their history. We've got to look at institutional racism. The next thing you've got to look at. We've got to look at social racism. You've got to look at class and culture. So all these things need to be addressed to really make a change for the young people. Yeah. And I think this is important. Because the fact that recently there's a thing that says they got a thing called Black Lives Matter. The fact that we have to actually say Black Lives Matter, which Black Lives do matter, but the fact we have to actually say it, is that alone is an issue in society, that we have to actually say, hey, we matter. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
That alone is an issue anyway. So there is a systematical problem that needs to be addressed on a deeper level, on a low level, on a high level. It needs to be addressed. Do you get me?
On every level, I think.
Yeah. So there's a lot that needs to be dealt with and needs to be done regards to the youth. And I just think like clearly, I'm not part of what the youth are doing or the violence that they're getting themselves into. And again, I will state it's not majority of young black youths are getting involved in violence, because actually a minority of young black youths are involved in violence. But the point is, their involvement at such a high level doesn't need to be there if the system was addressed and designed in a different way and structured to more inclusive and real open to understand what the youths are going on and what their experiences are. Do you get what I mean? So they turn a blind eye. Doesn't make much sense.
So then my next question, I guess, would be, in 10 years' time, what do you think society will be like? And for a young black man growing up, how will society treat him like?
If I got something to do with it, boy, God willing, it's going to be much different from it is now. Because I definitely put a lot of work into help, not just only black youth, to help youth on the whole, to understand each other's cultural lifestyle and history, because I think it's important. And there's been a lot of misplaced on black history and black people on the whole. And I think that's been a big problem as well. You know, lack of it being taught by black people about who they are and where they come from and historically. I think that's important, that it should be expressed, you know, to all society, to people to really understand, you know, the truth about history and culture, because it's definitely been mistaught. But I would say there's definitely going to be a turning point where people are going to start waking up, and it's happening slowly. People are slowly waking up. And not talking about just black people, I mean all people. You saw that with even George Floyd. A lot of people got fed up with it and just said, you know, there needs to be an awakening, like there needs to be a change. So there's definitely be a turning point. How long and how fast it comes is another thing. But in 10 years' time, I do hope to, myself personally, God willing, to have a massive impact with the things that I plan to do. And, you know, it would have a massive impact on, like I said, the black community as well as, you know, all other communities. But in this society, if it goes on how it is now, it ain't gonna look too great if things stay exactly how they are now. Situations that are currently facing young people, you know, the mass incarceration and the privatization of prisons, you get what I'm saying? That's a big problem too. Because it's a money spin, like in America, it's been a money spinner. I mean, you can build these tables for £1 in prison and sell them on road for 100 quid, 200 quid, like it's a business. Do you get what I mean? And like, no man builds a prison expected to be empty. So a lot of these youths don't even think about that too. That's what I'm saying, there needs to be an awakening for the youth. You know, and that's for all the youth on the streets. You need to understand that a man doesn't build a prison or doesn't open a shop and doesn't expect to sell his goods. He opens a shop with the intention to sell my goods. You know, we ain't doing this podcast expecting intention that no one listen to it. We want people to listen to it. So a man ain't open a prison and a privatizer person ain't gonna put his private investment in a prison and don't expect that prison to be full. So youth need to wake up and realize that you're the cow in it, you're the cash cow. So this is the reality that, you know.
Is that prisons in America?
No, over the UK.
In the UK as well, they're privatised?
Yeah, they're privatising prison over here. There's a prison working on right now called, I think it's Walsham. There's a prison they're working on right now, they're building. It's one of the biggest prisons they're going to build in this country. And yeah, I'm a good researcher. And
is that the first one that's been privatised? There's been many.
You've got prisons over here that are privatised already. Yeah. It's like schools that have gone privatised. Look at academies, isn't it? Wow. Academies are private. It's not, academies are private. Again, you can't just go into schools like before, like, you know, government say, go in and, you know, talk to government, you're going through the government now, through now, you go privatize, they can say, we don't want you now.
Wow. Because I know there's a lot of privatized prisons in America, well, that's how they run business.
No, but that's the same thing over here. Schools are privatized now over here, like I said, it's academies. So a lot of things are privatized, and they privatize a lot of things over here right now. Same situation, like I said, nothing new, just similar cycle as America. Yeah. Just in a slower case, but it's happening. So it's just about us being more wiser to it. And I mean, that's everyone who really stands up for justice and righteousness. You know, be more wiser to what's really going on and how do we make that change.
Okay. So what's Stephen, I'm scared to ask what Stephen Graham doing in the next 10 minutes, but what is Stephen Graham doing in the next kind of like future projects going on?
What's going on? I've got, I've turned my book, I'm going into an animated movie, a 3D animated movie.
What's it called?
The movie's called I Am. It's basically around the book I've turned into a 7-week workshop as well. So what I've done, I broke the book down into a 7-week workshop. So the book's actually a workshop. So I discuss certain scenarios in the book. So covering things like why people carry weapons, your life choices, the relationships. I'm talking about good and bad relationships, not just romance relationships, but even friendships, you know. Looking at loyalty and disloyalty and misplaced loyalty. Because a lot of things I've done, like when I was young, I did it out of misplaced loyalty. My friend would say, this happened. I'm like, come and go. I'm not asking why it happened, what was the reason. I just want to go. That's misplaced loyalty. I thought I was a friend, but really and truly, if I was a better friend or more educated friend, I would have like, hold on, wait, what's the problem? Nah, that's not worth it. Let's go. Do you get what I mean? Leave this. So it's about breaking out all these kind of things to understand. So we're using scenarios from the book to that. Plus, so I plan to take the documentary, the animated movie. It's going to be a version coming out called I Am Chicago. So it'll be Chicago voiceovers, and that's going to be really crazy because there's got some celebs putting their voice on it, so it's going to be mad. Yeah. Then I've got 2 more documentaries coming out from Chicago. I've got a documentary. I've got a book coming out about my life I wrote. I'm looking to publish it soon, but called Incarcerated about my life. A self-reflected analytical view of my life, where I break down my whole life going through, if I went through the the crime and everything, but I break from like a criminology perspective, like using a lot of theories and, you know, different things added into my book. So I give it a real spin on it, you know, from a bit like a professional professor kind of way. It's really real amazing. Like I just open all my heart out and just let it all out. You know, why I did things, and I looked into everything and matched it to a theory and a philosophy. And then I've got also a book I'm writing about history and culture and religion. Oh, wow. You know, so which is about the Bible, Quran, and about history, and so that's going to be interesting too. So yeah, and I've got a few documentaries I'm making as well about religion and history as well. So a lot going on. You know, thank God.
I told you I was scared to ask, didn't I? that's amazing.
And still, of course, mentoring as well with young people, and like, which is something I love doing.
I guess the last and final question then would be like, what kind of piece of advice would you give a young person who's not in too deep, but is actually thinking of dipping their toe into the criminal kind of realm? And
don't dip your toe into it. I would say don't get burned. You play fire, you get burned. There's no reason to dip into it. Trust me. Like, everyone wins but from you. The judge, clerk of court, everybody wins but you. Everyone get paid out of you. It doesn't even make sense. The amount of money that the criminal justice system makes from one individual being in prison is not even a joke. Like, they're making minimum between 60 to 180k a year from one individual. Depends on where you're located and what prison you're in. Like, it's not even a play thing. You're a cash cow. You're not winning. You're a cash cow. And if you do 10 years, you're making them millions. And then bear in mind, the thing that should make you even think about it is, if you go to prison and your mum works, bear in mind your mum's paying for you to stay in prison. Not purposely, but she's paying for you to stay in prison. So your mum, your sister, your cousin, your aunties, they're all paying for you to stay in prison, which is not even a joke thing. So your mum's money is going down to you going in prison, because the reality is taxpayers' money pays for prisons. So don't be a part of the system that you're falling. Like, don't fall into the trap of the system, but be somebody that will rise yourself and rise others in the system, which is what I want to do. It doesn't make sense as a child trying to get into streets. Like, there's other options. Find someone like myself, find Squingy, find yourself, find Project X, find whatever. Find somebody who's going to help you to be a better person. But don't get into streets, because streets is long. It's a waste of time. And if anyone says, yeah, I won out the streets, you're lying to himself. Because if he really thinks he's won or she's won, and you don't give a damn about all the lives that you've lost, if you've really been there, you've lost a lot of friends. Because I've lost friends too much to count, and I'm talking more than 100 friends. From UK to Jamaica to America. I was a bit in New York as a youth as well, which I didn't mention. I've lost so many friends. It doesn't even make sense. You can't say you win on the streets. It's impossible. Even if you're a millionaire, which I'm not. But even if I was a billionaire, it doesn't matter. I have Bill Gates' money. I can't win because that money can't bring them people back. Can't bring back the people I love. It can't bring them back. I lost my cousins. It can't bring them back. In the reality, it's just impossible. Do you get what I'm saying? I lost friends. I lost people that I can't even talk about because I don't want to say I don't want to let people know I'm connected to them. But I got to keep them things. I could just cry. I can't bring them back. So that money, if this is money you care about only, then cool. Then you're fine in it. But if you really care about the people you care about, then nothing can bring them back if they get killed. And if you go jail, bear in mind your kids are going to jail with you. Because when I was in prison, my 2 children were in prison with me. Because they were going through the same suffering. No dad around. They're going through their problems. Dad ain't there to help them. Dad ain't there to do nothing for them. That's dead. That's all rubbish. That's rubbish. That's rubbish. You can't get the years back. And you can't make it up to the children for all they've lost. No matter what you do for them after, and all I've done for my children, I've come out and I've done great for my children. They're doing good. But I can't make up to my big ones that I lost all those years on. Because they've still got that trauma of the pain they went and the things they went through. I went there to when they dropped and hurt their knee in the park. Daddy's not there to help you that knee. Mum's just there. I don't know those things. They can only tell me, Dad, I bust my leg when I was younger. And you're telling about things that I should have been here to help you with. Like, so that's still paying for me, and it's paying for you because deep in your mind, you know, like, you was even there. I know you was in prison. It's cool. It's all good. I know you was around. My son says that all the time to me. He's a big boy, but I know he's hurting deep down because you weren't there. Yeah, you're there now, but those years that when I needed you for certain situations, you weren't there. So no matter how much you come out and give a child, you never make back the time what you lost. So it's not, the risk versus reward don't even make no sense. So don't even dabble in it. It's a waste of time. Do something else. Go get a job in Tesco's. Then mean you're better off. And be honest with you, if you get a job in Tesco's, you're better off anyway. Because I used to laugh at a friend and he was working in Sainsbury's. He became a Sainsbury's manager. And this is a true life story, real talk. If I tell you it's 100% real, and I ain't embarrassed to say it. I used to laugh at him thinking, bro, that's goofy, bro. I'm never doing kind of jobs. Those jobs are rubbish. And then so I'm laughing at him. And real talk now, you now owns his own crib. He's a manager at Tesco's now, owns his own crib and doing everything. And he's got a lot of things going on. But the point is not that I ain't got things for myself now. I have achieved for my legal life. But the point is, when I was doing that crime and doing what I'm doing and making the money, he's working. But I've got no credit ratings in it. Because remember, I'm not doing nothing illegal. So I've got nothing, no credit ratings, not even a bank account. I don't even want to put money in my bank account because man can't be declaring money. I'm not supposed to be working. You get what I'm saying? So everything's shoebox, hidden. Gal hold this, gal take out this for you, gal do this for you. Bread do this for you, whatever, man for you, man fall out, man, keep the money, blood, because we're going to beef over this money. Bare losses, you and the gal fall out, gal like all the cars in my name, you can't even do nothing because if you do, the reality is you're either going to hurt her or whatever, because you can't take the car back from her because it's in her name. So you fall out, she called your car, or she call police on you. What, trying to get my car? There's nothing you can do. The reality is the real shit, like real, you can't do nothing. So the reality is, my youth did his work, he did his job, working in Sainsbury's, we laughing at man like, bro, you're making peanuts, so you're living an idiot life, 9 to 5 area. But he has been in credit ratings. I didn't understand all this when I was younger. Who understands about credit ratings? I'm thinking this is a nerd putting money in the bank. That's rubbish. Well, in Burlington socks, them days there, old school Burlington chippy and everything, you know what I mean? The old school thing. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we thinking we're the man, CD Seps, and you know what I'm saying? Like, we're the man here. But man, we were the fools. Because this youth is working, stacking, working. Man want to move out from mama at a young age. You don't want to be at home. Stay at home with mama and save that money. I want to cut in it. I want to be independent. I want to got my own crib, my own yard, big TV. I'm flossing. Like, no, I was a fool. Because if I stayed at home, lived a good life, I would have did what he done. He built his credit ratings up, which I didn't know about them thing them day there. He built his credit up, got his car, driving, man's got illegal whips and all them kind of stuff. It's rubbish. I can't even drive, I don't have a license. I used to only ride bikes. You know what I'm saying? I used to have a man drive for me when I was younger. That's the real talk. You get what I'm saying? Man had the whip, but a man drive for me. Man just thought you had the life in it. Certain people give you money, you just thought you had the life, just living. But no, my yard was Chris, big massive TV at the age of 19. I got what people call them big screens now. I had when I was younger. Like, I had all that kind of stuff. It wasn't a flat screen them days, but it was a massive TV. I had all the thinking you're living good, yeah, this is my life, where people, rubbish. It was all rubbish because, like I said, what he done, worked. And now I understand the play he did. He just saved his money up, built his credit ratings up, got his mortgage, got his yard. Saying Tesco's, you can earn, look, think about it like this. You can earn $1,000 a month, yeah, in a little job at Tesco's, Sainsbury's, whatever, yeah? But that little $1,000 a month, you'll save at home, you can save about 4 or 5 bills like that every month, you know? Plus you also, because you're giving, and you're still respectable, giving mum a little £200, got £300 to pull out with. But you're saving up for it as you're going along, 5 bills, you're making about £6,000, you're saving £6,000 a year. Plus you're building credit ratings, because you're taking out little small things, your phone and where. You can take it, by 2 years, you take out your car. Because your credit rating is that big now, you go into places like, you know, any of them things, I want a car, boom, you take your car. You're paying that off as well because you're still staying at home with mum. You pay that off in a couple of years, that's not even a problem to you because you got money and your credit ratings are growing. By the time you finish, bam, you got 4, 5, 6 years, remember I did 8 years in prison, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, you've got more than enough saved, you got, man, remember I said £6,000 saved in 1 year because you're saving £500 a month. If you go to £400 a month because you've got a car right now, say 4 or even 350, even in a year, that's still 3 bags and a half. In 5 years, that ends up be 15 bags. 15 bags. You need like 20 bags to get a little house out for yourself. This and your credit ratings is mad now. Remember, and you've done it for about 8 years, so you've got about 20, 30 bags. I'm just calculating my man's methods. So you've got 20 something bags in your account now. Plus you've done about 6 years at your mum's home. You've got a nice little crib. I mean, you've got your money now. You can get a mortgage. You've got a crib. You got a job, you got a legal job, you held it down. 'Cause that's what they want to see. They want to see steady income.
Yeah.
Come on, bro. I mean, we're not thinking. We're just trying to be fast.
So what you're
Don't be
saying-
fast. Take a 9 years, do a 9 years in Sainsbury's, and get a nice crib. Do you get what I'm saying? Don't be hype in the streets thing. It's rubbish.
So what you're saying is see the bigger picture.
Bigger picture.
Step back from where you're at. Look at the bigger picture.
Bigger picture, bro. Forget the goofy life.
So I want to say a big thank you to you, Stephen. I'm sure this ain't gonna be the last time we're gonna have you on Xcast or even at Project X. So thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me, bro. Appreciate it.
That's all right, man. And hopefully this will go out to young people listening, and they'll actually take your words and actually, take it on board and soak it in. So thank you very much, and that's it. We out.
You are now listening to Project Xcast podcast series.